Nooligan, it's great to meet you. Congratulations on being the new artist for DC Comics and DC Collectibles. How does it feel to have your line come out this fall?
Oh, I'm super excited, and thanks for having me. It's kind of just kind of surreal to kind of be, coming up from where I came up and kind of be able to be a part of this whole collective of kind of other guys like Chris or even like Show and stuff like that. It's very humbling to be a part of the whole collective and be the first wave out, and I'm very excited for what they come out with next.
Right. And how did DC reach out to you to be a part of this project? Because these are some interesting designs, little Mike Mignola influence, different artist style rendering of these traditional characters. And
So, I was fortunate enough to actually, this is kind of my second project with him. I was able to do Harley Quinn Joker bookends. First was in 2016, and then I was asked to kind of jump on here right afterwards. And yeah, so that was kind of my first major thing with them. And they kind of did find me, just like the box says, in Artist Alley. Kind of came by my table in San Diego, and then came across me and asked me to do the bookends, and then everything else just kind of fell into place after that.
yeah. Well, you're a California guy, anyways. You're from
Yeah,
Sacramento,
Sacramento,
state
California.
capital.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be that kid from Sacramento that's traveling to Dragon Con and San Diego Comic
Yeah.
Con and now hanging out in the DC
You
offices
know,
just to display your work?
it's crazy because not only that, I was born in Sacramento, but I actually grew up on a reservation. So this is definitely something unexpected completely from where I kind of very humbling beginning to be able to be a part of something like this that I never knew existed. So it's super cool. I've always wanted to do is draw for a living, and then I found a way to do that by just putting myself out there and being a part of the whole community, and trying to put my own spin on the characters, which is in this industry it was really hard because when you come up, you kind of want to do what everybody else is doing. Like when you grew up in the 90s, there's a certain way of drawing, and it was very hard for me to make that choice to be myself. Especially kind of like Mike and everybody else, like you said, Mike Manola, or like a lot of having that character style that is just yours is it was a choice I made, and I never kind of looked back. So
Well, you said you grew up on a reservation. Which First Nation are you a part of?
I'm actually a Paiute over by Mammoth Lakes, California.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I grew up there. I was born in Sacramento and then raised there, moved to the reservation, then went back. So it's kind of after I graduated high school and stuff. So
How does it feel being part of the First Nation and now being a creator in an inherently American art form?
oh, I love it, and that's where most of my stuff comes from. I kind of grew up on all DC comics and comics in general. I kind of stemmed from a Will Eisner, Jack Kirby kind of thing, and then a lot of Disney stuff like Milk Hall and stuff like that. So I kind of all my stuff is Golden Age influence in American cartoons. So it's kind of in my style in general. It's very Americana. You got like the chucks, you got the gloves, you got the pie eyes. It's very Americana for how I grew up and everything. And it's kind of just encompassing as a whole of how I kind of came to coming to where I am today.
Have you mixed in a lot of First Nation artistic influence as well into your style?
No, I kind of tried to set myself apart from that because it's definitely a niche market, and I was trying to kind of have a wider spectrum of people looking at my work, and so I kind of stayed away from a lot of the designs for like straight Native American stuff and everything. I kind of just kind of did everything based on my influences as far as cartoons and comics and stuff like that. So
Now, this line over here, we have a Day of the Dead design, we have a traditional color design, and a black and white design for DC Collectibles coming out this fall. How does it feel to see the different variations of your initial creation with different coloring and different shadings, and to actually just have it come to life?
it's amazing. I was super impressed with everything that just happened. Just a normal paint job alone. When the black and whites came on, that was super cool because that's like always like super to be a part of something like the black and white collection that you've seen and you've seen from the other side of it and watching it. And you're like, those are cool. And then being able to have a black and white was super cool, and they came out great. And then the Day of the Dead thing was like that was kind of one of the variations they wanted to do from the very beginning, and I was all in on it. So and that one is one of my favorites because it's very cool, very striking, and then it kind of sets the tone for the rest of for the characters too.
Now, obviously the designs, Harley Quinn pointing off and
Yeah.
Batman kind of shrugging back and whatnot. How many sketches did you go through initially before you finalized these designs, and then DC said, all right, these are the ones that we're going with for this line?
So the Joker was actually I hit the Joker right out the park from the beginning. I think there was only two variations of the Joker. That one was very. This was one of the first. The first one I sent in was that one, so that one kind of went really quickly. Harley Quinn I sent in five variations, and of course, like I wanted it to be kind of fit her attitude, and that the huge inspiration for that pose is obviously Babe Ruth from New York. So and it's kind of fits with her attitude and being sure of herself and stuff like that, like and who Harley Quinn is. And I thought that was really cool, and especially, and then that was the one I wanted them to pick, and it was the one they picked. So I was super happy with that. Plus, I'm like a really old baseball fan, like history wise and everything. So I do love that pose. This one, the Batman ended up was the daunting one. It was one that kind of came off a little harder to come off because there's so many variations and so many great variations. It's hard to compete, especially with somebody like Batman, So when initially starting it, I thought it was going to be easy, and then ended up being more difficult to come up with something. So when I put them together, I actually had to design him based on the Joker. So if you had him posing like that, I had to kind of create a variation where he was like the disdain on his look was more towards like looking at him, and that's how it kind of came together like that. But yeah, this one took many variations, not just the few that we talked about before earlier.
And then the Harley Quinn one, we'll do a close up in a little bit of having the mismatched Converse on, with the whole Punky Brewster flavor.
Totally. And then we got to the diamonds, and then also like the bat design. It was super cool seeing like little things that I put in there, like the little design on her bat and stuff, and how they were able to put that in there. I'm amazed by some of the stuff they can pull off, and the painting guys did a great job. And not only that, but Paul Harding, like he did my bookends, and then he also did all these, and like it's kind of hard to say that I wouldn't be able to do this without him either, because he's a huge part of this project as well.
And how does it feel that you were discovered in Artist Alley? Doing your artwork, and all of a sudden here comes one of the big two going. We like your stuff.
I thought I got in trouble, so because like you said, I grew up in like very in a situation where I chose not to do what was traditionally asked of me to do these things. I went out on my own. I had nothing to lose. I put my stuff out there. I just kind of went out there and went for it, and it was it's a moment where I remember taking a phone call, and I was just like kind of awestruck on the idea that I was, because these guys are like my childhood and who I grew up with, and I love this character so much that it was really cool to be a part of it and even be asked of it, especially when I didn't fit the normal mold for something that is necessarily for this industry and stuff. So it was definitely one of the best things that's happened to this day, is being a part of this company and all the history, and actually be able to have what I've done be part of DC Universe history is amazing.
And now you're in the archives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things I got, and then I'm also a guy who put Chucks on Batman, which I'm very proud of. So.
And the first wave is Batman, Joker, Harley Quinn, are the first three statues coming out for this. And then the next wave, we've seen a sample of the Nightwing one coming out, which looks phenomenal.
Thank you.
What else is coming out with Nightwing in the second phase?
There's it's going to be all rollout, so it's kind of like one of those things we're waiting till the holiday season to kind of reveal everything that's coming out with there. But obviously with the variations of this one, there's going to be variations of him as well, and I think it's just kind of like up to DC's discretion of when they put those out. But I'm excited. I think like the Nightwing himself is one of the ones I'm most proud of, only because when they let me design him, they let me just do what I do, and I definitely took some liberties in changing him and everything else, because he has a set kind of simple style, and I wanted to kind of make him more modern and more kind of fit more of the times, and I think I did that with that design. So.
And now, how many characters have you designed? Because we don't have a set number of what's being released, but how many characters did they have you design? Because there's so many characters within the DC universe, going from the Trinity to Justice League, Justice Society, New Gods, etc.
Most of my stuff is purely based on the Bat family and stuff like that, so I kind of strictly stick to Gotham City right now. But this is kind of where I'm at right now, so this is kind of where I've been stuck with, like with the bookends, and it's kind of been Joker and Harley Quinn, and it's super cool to get Nightwing. So. Yeah.
Well, Nightwing's always been a fun
Totally,
character, and
totally.
the first sidekick to
Yeah,
become his own superhero.
yeah,
So,
yeah. He's still one of my favorites, and then him coming up, and I was just like, when we talk about that design, I think I captured the spirit of who he is. The cockiness, the sureness, like everything was there, and then creating a jacket and everything was just it was something super cool and special, like for what I can throw in there and make something that was my own with that character.
well, I hope to see what your Damian Wayne looks like at
Oh,
some point.
yeah, I know. Like a dream of mine is to try to do something with Damien and Jonathan together. Would be super cool.
Yeah,
So.
Super Sons was one of my favorite
Oh,
books
it was
running,
so
so it
good.
was so much
It was
fun.
so good. Like, yeah, when I was a big fan. Like, I have I always wanted to do like a thing with them playing baseball. I think it would just be fun. So
Right.
yeah.
See, that actually would be a lot
Oh
of fun.
yeah, it would be because I think it would just be a really cool short story, man. Just them like it just them playing against each other. You get the cleverness and everything about Damien, and then the raw like natural ability from Jonathan, and having them play in that kind of way would be super cool.
And recreate that 1950s World's
Yeah,
Finest cover.
totally. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would. Yeah, and I love that idea, and I've always been kind of a big fan of that, and I always wanted to design something like that.
See, that sounds like a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, you could use the whole teams, the Gotham Knights,
Right.
kind of thing. So it's yeah, it's super. Yeah, I would love to work on those characters. There's so many though. You got like I'm a big fan of like the Demon Etrigan is one of my favorites because I'm a big Jack Kirby fan, and that was one of my favorite characters. Because I'm and then Wildcat Ted Grant. You got like Boston Brand, Solomon Grundy, Gorilla Grodd. Like some of these really cool obscure characters that are so interesting, and would love
Right.
to have my chance to take on them too.
Yeah. Well, they're obscure now, but when they first hit, they were
Oh,
bigger than
yeah,
life, especially
yeah,
with
yeah.
Justice
They
Society.
still are with me,
Oh, yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah. But it seems like you're having a lot of fun with this
Yeah.
still. You're enjoying everything. I mean, this is obviously a childhood dream come true
Totally,
to work for DC Comics and DC Collectibles. What are you working on right now? Because we know the next phase is coming out and
Yeah.
those designs are already done. But are
Totally.
there like any sketches that you're working on yourself, just whether for future pitches or just ideas that keep rolling?
I'm kind of just always kind of doing stuff. Like I always have ideas and like a lot of things I want to do my own stuff, and that's kind of like one of those side things when you gotta like make some time for yourself. And most of my aesthetic is very 1930s, 1950s, and I try to put my spin on those kind of things by creating my own characters and creating my own like things aside from doing stuff for the fans and for myself, because it's like doing these for the fans is kind of the main thing, but then I'm also doing them for myself because I love them so much. They've been such a part of my childhood and everything and growing up that it is very very special to me to be able to be a part of everything kind of thing. And so I kind of just I'm on the up and up kind of thing, just always trying to move forward and always trying to like kind of change things and make things new, and always take chances and take risks in order to kind of keep growing. So and then that's where I'm at right now, just kind of doing some side designs for other people and kind of keep going. So
Now, what would you tell other First Nation aspiring artists to do, and how to work their way through the challenges of being recognized?
it's definitely it's difficult, but the idea is there's a lot of really talented people on that level, especially when I grew up there, and it is a hard thing to, because when I grew up there I had no idea this was actually a job. I've got comic books few and far between, but it was never like something I can go down to the corner. It was because it was very rural area that I lived in. So it's definitely it's something that you can aspire to be, especially now. Like it's something that I achieved, and it was definitely the hardest I've ever worked in my life, but it was very fulfilling to be able to kind of draw for a living, and which when you were never told you could do that, never knew that was a thing. And I think it's just having that drive in order to kind of keep going and try to push forward to kind of take that to the next level. And like what I said, like when you asked me if I did designs, it was very important that I check that at the door and kind of always kind of be more open to just doing something more open to everyone instead of just making it just close off to that one thing. So, but I'm very proud of where I came from and stuff like that. But you also know how to get involved in this community is also just being out there and being open to everything.
Right. Now, Jeff Johns finally gave us a Middle Eastern character in comics with Simon Baz and Green Lantern. Would you ever want to try to work with DC and do an update of Apache Chief, since
Oh
you're also
yeah,
from a First Nation?
totally. I would love to reimagine a character, especially from somebody that was a situation where I came from. I'm very open to stuff like that. I would love to, and I think that would be really cool. I always thought Apache Chief was so much fun, you know, like so like a lot doing a lot of stuff like that would be totally open to, and especially inspiring to a lot of because I think that's where we're at now, is if we can get some more rewrites and recreations of these classic characters, we can have something totally fresh and new that you never expected, and I think that is something that we should all be open to.
All right, awesome. Nooligan, where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, I just if you're gonna after you go look up Nooligan and you're looking for me, you'll find me. You know, so
Twitter, Instagram, all of
thing
that.
everywhere.
Awesome, man. Thank you so very
Oh,
much for
thanks
your
for having
time.
me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and the new line comes out this fall.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, the new line comes out this fall. This one comes out relatively soon. So
Perfect.
I'm excited, man. So hope to see you guys all out there.
Awesome. We'll see you soon.